Your Excellency, Dr. Fahad Al-Tafak, Director General of Africa Affairs Department at the UAE, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, representing UAE government, Excellencies, Ambassadors, Consuls General, and all members of the diplomatic corps, heads and representatives of friendly organizations here present, esteemed friends of Rwanda, religious leaders, fellow Rwandans, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. A very good evening. On behalf of the government of Rwanda and on my own behalf, I'd like to thank you and to appreciate everyone in attendance for your solidarity as we gather here in Dubai to honor and remember over 1 million people that were killed for who they were in 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda 29 years ago. I must confess, as much as I enjoy officiating a number of national events, this is one of the most challenging for me. When we go back in time to remember, it feels as if it is yesterday. Under the theme, Remember, Unite and Renew, we continue the 100 days of remembrance that started on April 7th. We remember our loved ones whose lives and dreams were cut short in the most gruesome ways at the hands of an extremist-led government at the time. Every year that passes, we take this moment to honor the victims and to comfort the survivors. We reflect on the root causes of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi and collectively try to draw lessons with a view to prevent similar occurrences anywhere in the world in future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi was neither an accident nor a coincidence, but rather the culmination of a long-term extermination agenda. For those who are not familiar with Rwanda's history, I'll give you a quick glimpse into our story. The seeds of hate and divisionism in Rwanda were sowed under the infamous colonial divide and rule policy that slowly entrenched a distorted national identity, with social classes becoming ethnic groups and some calling it tribes in a once a one nation where everyone spoke the same one language and shared the same culture. It was amplified by the two successive regimes post-independence in the 1960s, targeting one group, the Tutsi. Discrimination became the order of the day as leaders turned citizens against each other through systematic sensitization. As part of testing the genocidal plan, many Tutsi families were forced to exile without the right to return back in the 1959s and early 60s. Scores were killed on many occasions from 1959 to the climax of the 1994 genocide. The targeted group was always dehumanized as worthless, termed cockroaches and snakes, branded national enemies, to legitimize their total extermination without fear and without even sparing babies. As part of the plan, thousands, actually tens of thousands of militiamen, the majority of them youth, were trained and equipped to become killing machines that could wipe away thousands of Tutsi in a single day. From April 7th, 1994, until the time the genocide was stopped, days were long and nights were short for the survivors. They went through an agonizing ordeal of seeing family members being killed and being hunted with no place to hide. The perpetrators looted, raped, and killed the Tutsi without sparing children, not even pregnant women. The testimony we had from Grace gives a glimpse of what survivors went through, not to mention that some families were wiped to extinction without anyone left to tell the tale. Every day, thousands were dying across the country. And to make matters worse, the international community turned its back on Rwanda. Specifically on this single day of May 13th, in 1994, over 30,000 Tutsis were massacred. They had tried to resist it for weeks, but were in the end outnumbered by killers. What Grace told us, what is a moving testimony that she shared, is shared by many of the survivors. And that is what Rwanda went through back in 1994. It wasn't the place to be for any peace-loving citizen of this world. Excellencies, dear compatriots, today we still see some groups of deniers and revisionists who at times masquerade as experts, and they continue to spread false narratives with the aim to distort history. Again today, bells of hate speech continue to ring in different parts of the African continent, even not far from Rwanda. And that is the precursor to the worst humanity could face. It's time as nations we revisit our commitment to the principle of responsibility to protect, calling the international community to ensure that war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity are halted before escalation. The 29th commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi should serve as a wake-up call to counter genocide denial with unity and full resolve. Officiating the start of the 29th commemoration in Rwanda, His Excellency President Paul Kagame on April 7th, 2023, had this to say, and I quote, "Genocide denial is a dangerous and deliberate attempt to block the truth. We must fight revisionist ideologies because they are easily passed from generation to generation. We must fight denial because that is how history repeats itself." End of quote. It is imperative that the international community works together to prevent and fight these grave signals to avoid a repeat of history. Bringing to book genocide fugitives is equally unfinished work that necessitates international collaboration. As of today, Rwanda has so far issued 1,148 indictments and international arrest warrants, out of which only less than 100 individuals have been tried transferred, or deported to Rwanda to face justice. We call upon all nations to spare no efforts to apprehend all genocide suspects still at large. We also call upon nations to put in place laws that criminalize genocide ideology and to collaborate in the fight against denial and revisionism of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Because genocide denial is simply traumatic to survivors and to all who know what we went through as a country. It was one of the worst genocides in recent human history. And as we know, denial is the last stage of genocide preparation by those who plan and execute the human atrocities. By moving freely in foreign countries, genocide offenders continue to evade justice and spread misinformation. These fugitives are in a number of Western countries, in Europe, in the US, in Asia, and some in Africa. They must be brought to book wherever they are. Excellencies, friends, dear compatriots, again, Rwanda had to pick its pieces. We refused to be hostages of that bad history, as if we had any choice. Modern-day Rwanda came from a devastated state in 1994 with a blighted socioeconomic and political fabric to a united, continuously developing country with a promising future. We had to make very difficult choices along the way. We thank the sacrifices of selfless survivors who gifted us with forgiveness and opened up to reconciliation at a time when reconciliation was a tough call. We pay tribute to the selfless men and women led by President Paul Kagame that fought the genocidal regime and stopped the genocide against the Tutsi. They gave their all, including their lives, to stop the genocide and restore calm and serenity in the country. Treasuring and digging deep into our homegrown solutions has been essential in overcoming existential threats while strengthening Rwanda's ability to prosper, embrace opportunities, and navigate through hurdles of the changing world. Again, as my President Paul Kagame said during the national commemoration on April 7th in Kigali, and I quote, "So, Rwanda has transformed itself. Unity, being together, is the foundation of everything we try to do. From the beginning, we understood the need to cultivate and preserve a spirit of oneness to give us hope for a better future." End of quote. The tough choices that were made could only be made by a leadership that wanted to depart from the past and forge a new future for a country many believed had hit the dead end, for a country many thought was a failed state. To all fellow Rwandans, especially the youth, the responsibility lies on all of us to preserve the memory, safeguard and accelerate the progress of our country. Our youth today, and some of them are lucky, those who were born after 1994, did not face the crimes, did not get soaked in the hate that we saw before 1994. But they are not immune from what happened, because either They are children of victims and live with the trauma, or they are children of the perpetrators who also have understood what they did, and that haunts them. Our youth need to immerse in Rwanda's history and understand where we came from, understand the transformation philosophy, understand that the future of Rwanda belongs to them. As we all look to a future that leaves no one behind, we would like to see that the never again is not a slogan. It becomes never again in reality. To our partners here today, to the friendly countries that have been together with Rwanda for the last 29 years since the genocide against the Tutsi, we recognize and appreciate your hand in Rwanda's socio-economic transformation journey. Rwanda is open to you. Rwanda today is a country on the move, is a country that, against all odds, with the support of partners like you, wants to build a model of a peaceful country, at peace with itself, with its neighbors, and a prosperous country. In that journey, Rwanda needs your continued partnership and collaboration for a shared, better future. I want to thank you all for your kind attention.